Hey guys, it's been a long time. Recently, for the past 7 months and for 2 months last summer, I was teaching English in Russia for one of the most corrupt people that works in education in Russia. So, to start off, I would like to say that there's going to be two videos where I discuss what happened. This is the first. And in the first video, I'm going to explain my personal story. And in the second video, I'm going to talk more about Gunai and more about her business and the truth more about her. I first heard of Gunai when I was on a website called workaway.info. That is a website that you find backpacker jobs and different activities to do while you're traveling. And last summer, this was back in 2018. This was in June. I really wanted to go visit Russia again. I'd visited there twice in Moscow and St. Petersburg, and I wanted to work in summer camp. So I sent out a lot of emails and messages to many different people, and one responded in about 4 hours, and it was Evrovision camp. I got in contact with one of her assistants, who then later I found out was never paid. Basically, she hired someone to find foreigners to work at her camp and then never paid this woman that found us. So, and I talked to someone, and then I talked to someone else. Then I talked to someone else, and then I was hired, and in about 2 weeks, I was put on a flight to Sochi, Russia. So what happened was, we had the first session. It was in Gorky Gorod. And so we did the session, the first session, which was 3 weeks. And I made a film with my students, and then between camp sessions, because session 2 was the second month, but there was 1 week between, she sent us to a town called Volgodonsk, which is in Rostov region. And I was there for a week. It was me and 2 other people, and one person from Nigeria that was living in Volgodonsk working for her. And it was a crazy experience being in a town like that in Russia. And then what happened was, one of the days that we were there, we decided to hold up signs and walk around the town and introduce ourselves, because we're a bunch of foreigners. Well, it was me, an Argentinian, a Russian translator, and men from Nigeria. We decided to hold up signs, and we were walking. I met a group of people that were the Volgodonsk English Club. So, and then we went to the second session, which didn't go as well as the first. It was a smaller group of kids. And I did start having my first fight with Gunai. And she was fighting with me because she said that my class didn't have enough English in it when I was hired to teach English through film. So we were making a film in English. We were always talking in English, but she was really fighting with me about this. But it was just a short little fight, and I kind of didn't think about it. Real problems didn't come till later. So then, when the session was over, my flight was not for 2 weeks back to the U.S. So she just sent me to Volgodonsk for 2 weeks, and I had an interesting experience. I did teach a few classes at the school that she has there. But she doesn't actually live in Volgodonsk. She lives in Moscow and just runs it through her phone. And I met a lot of interesting people. I made a lot of new friends. So, and about this time, Gunai said, "Justin, if you want to come back to Volgodonsk, we'd be happy to take you back." And I said, "Yes, probably." And I was really, but when I got home, I had to go to a conference in September, and then I had my backpacking trip through Australia in October. So I did have some things to go, and she said she wanted me to come back in November. So, for some reason, from mid-September through all of October and most of November, she completely ignored me. Then finally in November, she told me to come back in January. And she sent me, not the full amount for my flight, but most of it. I did have to pay a little bit of my flight to Russia. So we came to an agreement. I would get 30,000 rubles a month, plus a free apartment. I would get a free return ticket back to the U.S. after the summer camp in the summer. 5.5 months in Volgodonsk, then 2 months at the camp, and then I get my flight home. Didn't quite turn out that way. So, fast forward to January 26, 2019, and I just arrived in Russia at 3:10 in the morning. And the thing is, Volgodonsk doesn't have an airport, so I had to fly to Rostov. So I took the bus between, but I stayed a night in Rostov and met up with some of my former students in the morning, which was great to see them. And they got me my SIM card, and I got all set up there. Then took the bus there, and then two of my new coworkers, they picked me up at the bus station and brought me to my apartment. And then I saw my apartment. So my first week was interesting. It was actually 3 days before I started working. Gunai lives in Moscow, and she just leaves the secretary, who is very rude and doesn't speak any English, to run everything, and she just doesn't. She doesn't do anything. Yeah, and my coworkers were saying this place has a lot of problems with paying people, and I was a little worried about that, but I didn't really think much about that at the time. Um, So I would say for the first few months, there wasn't any serious problems. But one big thing, actually two big things. One, the schedule. I'll show you a picture of my schedule. Some weeks it was just crazy. Some weeks I was working 50 hours in the classroom, 6 days a week. I always work 6 days a week, but half day on Saturday. Couldn't believe the amount of hours I was working. Usually most ESL teachers work 25 to 30. Or a lot even less than that. I've heard in China they work only about 10 plus lesson planning. Then I got very involved with the English club that I went every Sunday, and I made a lot of good friends through there. So Gunai came to visit. I believe this was mid-February? She came there like once every other month just to check how things were going. There was apparently a teacher meeting that night. It was a Thursday night, but Thursday night was the night I go to hookah with my then friend Vlad, who's not really my friend anymore. There's a whole story with that. And I remember she was, I didn't know about this, so she stopped me at the door when I was leaving. She said, "Hey, Justin, there's a teacher meeting in 30 minutes. And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, but I have plans, and it was not in my schedule, so I'm sorry I can't make it." And then she asked me, "Oh, so who's your friends?" I said, "My friend Vlad." And she said, "Where did you meet this friend?" I said, "My English club." And then she started firing back at me. She didn't want me involved with this English club. She was taking it like it was free English lessons, and she has a mentality like if you work for her, you're only with her. You can't do lessons outside, you only are with her. And it was just quite, and I having this whole back and forth. She wanted me to give her the number of the head of the club, Vova, and I was like, I just was trying to just ignore it. It was making me really upset that she wants me to have no friends and only focus on the school. But eventually I got her to back off because she was just being absolutely unreasonable. Another thing was at this time, as I said, I always got paid, but I always had to be asked to be paid. Like I had to tell Gunai to have Anastasia pay me. So everything went through her, but she lives 1,300 kilometers away, so that doesn't work so well, does it? And she always did pay me, but sometimes it wasn't the full amount, and I had to ask again and get the rest. It was quite irritating how this was working. So at this time, it was about mid-March, and I was hearing from some other teachers that so many teachers just weren't being paid. Like, not at all. Like, and I would ignore them or dance around the subject, and they just weren't being paid. So I wondered what was going on here. I was like, am I next? Am I next? I mean, I was, but that didn't happen till later. And then when I got back, things turned to shit. So when I got back, I noticed she installed cameras everywhere when I was gone. There's cameras everywhere so she could watch everything that we do from her phone. And also I kept hearing nobody has been paid in a while. One teacher was not paid for multiple months, and like they were just quitting because she would not pay them. Gunai just would not pay them. So then I finally asked for some of my salary, and I was owed about 30,000 for my month, and she gave me 10. She said, "Oh, the rest later." But in the future, whenever I asked for the rest, she would just ignore me. And at this point, she started to get very angry when you ask her anything. Like if you ask for the simplest of a request from her, she fires back with everything you do wrong. So it was just all the time. So it's to the point you don't even want to talk to her because she would just fire back at you for no reason. So at this point was when things were really starting to go haywire, and I was wondering what's really going on. And I kind of knew what was going on with her business. I can't really share it in this video, but I will at a later time. At this point, nobody was paid for about 2 months, 8 or 9 if you count the part-timers that worked there. And what she decided to do, instead of paying them, was to just fire everybody. She had the Anastasia, the secretary, just go and fire each person. She just went to her room and said, "Oh, this is your last week. This is your last week." And I just told Anastasia to do this, and it's ridiculous that she wouldn't even have the guts to do it herself. So at this point, like, many of my coworkers were really upset because they weren't paid for many months of work. And they just lost their jobs, and nobody got their salaries. It's absolutely ridiculous. Gunai, why would you do this? I don't understand why you treat your employees this way. Quite a crazy day at that school. I was wondering what was really going on, and nobody would actually tell me until after it happened. Thinking I didn't want me to know. And she blames everyone else for the decline in students, where in reality it was because of 2 factors. One, it's becoming summer, so of course many students don't want to have lessons in the summer. And your horrible organization of the school just ruins everything. Like, many students show up at the wrong times because of poor organization, or they don't have the right lessons with the right teacher. Of course nobody's going to want to go to this school. There's just so many problems. And also at this time, she decided to change the name of the school. I'll show a picture of it here. So, and then at this point, she told me that starting June 17th, I would be interviewing people for her Olympiad. And probably many of you watching were a part of the Olympiad. And I sincerely apologize for what I'm about to say about how the Olympiad really works. So, starting June 17th, I asked her, what's my schedule for it? And I didn't get any information, and she just said, "Oh, I'll start next week." So I thought I got the week off, but I didn't have any money to go anywhere because I wasn't paid. But she still wanted me to come into the school to prepare questions, when in reality I was given them later. It was just mindless busy work. Whenever I asked her anything, she would just say, "Oh, well, spend your time learning how to be a better teacher, read some books." It was just, she didn't even know what she was saying. So this is how the Olympiad worked. Basically, it was the 3rd round of her Olympiad where you win a certain amount of prizes. I was supposed to get a student to call on Skype from somewhere in Russia every 10 minutes, and it was for 13 days straight. But I saw it was 13 days straight, starting at 9 a.m. every day, from either like 9 to 2, 9 to 4, some days just 9 to 12, but it ended up being longer. But then she said, "Oh, it'll be every 5 minutes because I don't have enough teachers. Just every 5 minutes. Can only talk to a student for 3 to 5 minutes." And of course didn't run on time. And she told me the score every kid out of 10. Their English skill. I was like, okay. I mean, she didn't give me an official rubric. I was just doing, I am an English teacher, so I do know how to do this, but I had a lack of any sort of direction. But this time she paid me 15,000 rubles when she owed me 45. It was just getting ridiculous. She still was not paid me. And we did the Olympiad for 13 full days. But what happened was she didn't write the schedules right. So whenever I was finished, I would always have to stay for 1 to 2 hours and call a few other people. Or when I was home, I would have to, she would send me a name and then keep calling me. So like, call this student, because of her mistake of not putting it in the original schedule. And it was just the worst organization ever, and she just acted like she didn't care at all. And I was trying to still be professional. I mean, I take my job very seriously as a teacher, and my students respect me for that. Then the Olympiad wrapped up last day, and she told me to pick the best 10 of each year in school. So like the best of year 3, best of year 4, best of year 5, best of year 6, and so on to 9. So I did that and sent it to her. Then she said I should put them in order with how good they are, like their level of skill out of the 10. How would I possibly remember? There was 1,200 of them. So, and she didn't really care all that much. So I was like, this guy's 1, this guy's 2, this guy's 3. And I'm really sorry to tell you guys all that if you were in Olympiad, you mostly won just on accident or by chance because I wasn't given you were in the top 10. You were in the top 10. And this Olympiad was run so wrong, there's actually a change.org petition against this Olympiad. And I'm going to link it down below, the link to it, so you can read it. And obviously I'm going to show a picture up here. So after this was my very emotional goodbye party from Volgadons that my amazing English club, love you all, threw for me. In fact, they even made me a little trophy here. Well, not really trophy, just certificate. I am the most Russian American. That warms my heart so much. That warmed my heart so much. This is the end of my 5.5 months in Volgadons, and obviously I never want to work for Gunai again, so it was very emotional leaving. So the following Monday or Tuesday, we left for Evrovision Camp 2019. We knew nothing. And there was a big fight that I had with her about bus tickets. So, we were given train tickets. First, she sent them, not the tickets, just a picture of it. From a screenshot. On a phone. Yeah, because that's going to work. So then finally we got the actual tickets after she fought with us for a bit, because that wasn't me and the other person. We asked for our bus tickets, and then she fired back at us. I'm showing it right here. And so then I had to ask my very good friend Vova to go get the tickets for us at the bus station because we didn't have time for it. Because you have to take a bus to Rostov and then the train to Adler. So then we took the bus to Rostov. I met my friend there. We didn't know that we would be traveling with other people, and we were there, and we saw Sveta, which is one of Gunai's assistants, who's so nice. She's like the sweetest person. And a bunch of students, and we were like, oh, and they were waiting for us for a long time, but we didn't know. Nobody told us. We thought we were taking the train on our own. And got on the train, headed to Adler. And by the way, we knew nothing. We didn't even know we were staying. We knew nothing about what was about to happen at the camp. And we got to Adler, and then a bus was waiting for us, so we got on the bus, and we realized that there was going to be absolutely no organization this year. It was just crazy. Where are we right now?
No idea at all.
We don't know where we're walking, and we don't know where our bags went.
It's fine.
It's fine. Evrovision Camp 2K19, let's go.
You never knew what you were doing the next day. You never knew what you were doing the next hour, because things changed every 5 minutes, because one person's talking to another person. And Gunai was there for a few days, then she left, and then came back the last 5 days of the camp. And I was still not paid, so I didn't have a lot of money, but thank God I just received my tax return, so I did have some money to have some fun at nights. We planned most of the events. And when I was there, I met many staff members that also worked on the Olympiad, and they told me that none of them were ever paid for it. Like 100 people work on Olympiad, and nobody was paid. Gunai didn't pay anyone. And last year, the Olympiad made 26 million rubles. And I'm sure it made about the same this year. Probably went right into her pocket. Gunai was constantly combating me over text, as she usually does, and during the camp, many of my students, love you all, noticed I was pretty sad a lot of the time. I tried to hide it. It's just because of how badly I was treated by Gunai. I never talked about it with them because I want them to have a great time at the camp, but it was just getting so bad. So, towards the end of the camp, she asked me and the other person, the other foreigner, to do online lessons for 2 hours for 2 days. So the first one went fine. And the second one, we were quite late because it was the last day of camp, so we all went to the waterfalls. And she told us that we were going to take a taxi back because we would get back at like 5:30. and we were supposed to start at 5. But we never did, and she just told us to take the bus back. And then she was just sending harassing messages to me, saying that, like, it's our fault. And she says, oh, right, when you get there, go straight to the conference room. But obviously, me and this other person had to change our clothes and many other things and get ready for it. So we started about 5:40, and she was just being so rude when it's her fault. She didn't get us a taxi to get there earlier. And this was not even in our agreement to do online lessons. And then we obviously ended at 7, which we were supposed to end. But then she got mad at us because we didn't do a full 2 hours. But she got us there late, so it's not our fault. There was traffic. She constantly, and I mean constantly, blames us for her own horrible organizational problems. So between session 1 and 2 at camp, there is a 6-day break. And I thought we would be sent to Volgodonsk, which I was okay with. I missed my friends from there. But we were sent to Lwów, Russia, which was about an hour, 49-minute train ride from Roza Hutor. 2 friends of mine were staying there as well, so had a pretty interesting week. But the whole time, Gunai was fighting with us over text, because she said that the first week we go back to camp, we have to do online lessons every day. And I was saying that wasn't in our agreement, but she was just saying rude and absurd responses that I couldn't stand. And I tried to stay professional, and I did, but I was just feeling sick at night, and I couldn't sleep because the way she was talking to me. And so now we're going to do something called Crazy Gunai Theater, where I'm going to perform her text messages. Hello, I'm sorry, but there's no Wi-Fi at the hotel, and it's not in our agreement to do Skype lessons. Hi! I'm settling it. Already wrote to Ivan. We will find the place. How much will I receive for these lessons? I am skeptical, because I haven't received my salary yet. I am owed $15,000 for May, because I only received half, $30,000 for June, and $25,000 for the first session of camp. In total, $70,000. And I would like to soon receive my return ticket as well for after the camp. Justin, stop talking to me in such a boss way. What do you mean, return ticket? You created for me very uneasy situation in Evrovision with Class A, and I didn't even find you like the others. So please, speak manners. I'm just asking for the money I have already worked for, and the return ticket you promised me as well. I didn't promise you a return ticket. Flight doesn't concern me. Yes, you did. I have it in text. Did you tell me that you were leaving after the camp? I didn't hear about it. My visa's going to expire. How come I should know about it? I'm hearing different things from everyone, but not from you. When we spoke in November, I said I would stay until the end of the camp because of my visa, and you said that you would provide me a return ticket. Your attitude is not very good towards me. I don't like it. Please, change your manners. We will meet at the camp and speak seriously about everything. But when will I receive the remainder of my salary that is owned? I try to provide the best, but you even don't appreciate it. The whole week I didn't send you to Volgodonsk. Next week, we will be in the camp. But when will I receive my salary? I answer, D? Send me the photo of your passport with the visa. For what purpose? You said it's expiring. You told it's expiring. Yes, I have to depart the country every few months. Send me, please. I need to know how it's going on, because I don't want to get such unexpected news as about your departure. I thought you knew about my departure. Because our original agreement was to stay until the camp is over, and it was not in our original agreement to do online lessons. How come I should know? Because we spoke about it in January when I came here. For what should I pay you if only had a few classes and enjoying your staying in Sochi? So, online classes replace them. In January. I'm your boss. You must tell me when and where. Let's close this discussion, or otherwise it would not lead to anything good. I permitted you many things, and closed my eyes to many things. Where do I even start with this conversation? One, she's acting like she doesn't know her original agreement that I was supposed to get still paid and receive a return ticket at the end of the camp. And this situation doesn't exist. I didn't create any situation there. I even contacted people who worked at that school and asked if there was a situation. They said no, there's no situation you created. She creates problems so she can blame you for them. Her responses are rude and absurd. I can't even get a point across without her getting all defensive and talking about herself. I was very upset after that conversation. In fact, I started to feel sick. Because the first day of online lessons was the next day, and there wasn't Wi-Fi at the hotel we were at, she made us take the train at 7 in the morning to get to Rosa Hutor, so we could go to the conference room of the hotel to do these Skype lessons that were not in our agreement. And I was like, okay, for the first day, for one day, I can do it. It was supposed to be from 9 to like 4 or 5. So, and what happened is we couldn't get in contact with most people. Like 10 a.m. I got in contact at 11. I couldn't get in contact for the next 2 hours. Then we had lunch. And then I couldn't get in contact. It was just a big organizational problem. And she acted like she didn't care and then blamed me because I wasn't working when I couldn't get in contact with anyone. And then that night, we had a huge, huge fight. I'm going to show some of it here, to the point of where I couldn't take it anymore. So this is the final part of Creepy Gunai Theater. How will I participate in camp activities this week if I'm doing these online lessons? This was not what I agreed to. Okay? When I need you will. These days are busy with business classes. You will only have lessons online. No need in camp this week. Do you have a class now? Yes. Fast forward sometime. We try to check into the hotel. The hotel says there is no reservation for tonight under our names. I wrote Ivan. When you settle, please prepare for coming there, plan for the lessons. I had questions from parents today. Is it supposed to be only chat? Of course, no. There's a lesson explanation and topics, which we did. And she is not understanding anything. Show me tomorrow the books you use. We never got any books from her. In my whole time, I've never received a book to use in my classes. The materials you used for teaching, whatever you ask me I provide, the same I want in change. You don't give us anything! Are you serious? You never pay me. You never give me any good treatment. You don't provide anything. Okay, that's not important. That's not important. So then she sent me a thing of tomorrow's lessons, which was Tuesday. I didn't know this was going to be all week, and she said from 9 to 6. So I said, will I receive my salary tomorrow? We will discuss all this stuffs tomorrow in private. Did you translate this message above? I hope it won't repeat. The last time, of course, you will get. Okay. What about the other questions above, or you answer what you think is proper? I wrote a lot of messages above, but you ignore them. I ignore them because your questions don't make any sense, and they are stupid. I did read it. As I said before, I never agreed to do online lessons. Haha! Justin, I repeat you again, you're here as a teacher, not for entertaining. It's not for the first time. I told you about the problems in Vogadons. There were no problems. With parents, they left our school. They left our school because of your terrible organization. Because of you, this student also left. Online, offline, stop it, good night. Okay. So, at that point, I was about done. I'm not spending every day in front of a computer screen from 9 to 6, teaching online when I'm supposed to be teaching at the camp, speaking to the students, and being a part of everything that's going on. I was thinking about leaving that evening as I was walking around the Gorky Gorod area. And I woke up at 3 in the morning. I couldn't really sleep. I was just feeling sick. And I realized she was never going to pay me. She never was. Maybe I'd get my return ticket, maybe I wouldn't. Or she would just throw me in the trash like she does to everyone else. I decided I'm done. I'm leaving. And I took the next flight to Moscow from Sochi. I headed to the airport and didn't look back. And I'm sorry to the students of Session 2, who I never got to meet. I was owed 70,000 rubles. I think she was treating me so badly because she wanted me to leave. I guess she won. If I wanted to teach online, I could have done it from home. I didn't need to come to Russia. I came to Russia to make a difference, and Gunai stopped that. She made everything much more difficult, and I'm not going to forgive her for that. The only thing I can thank her for at this point is for giving me a chance to come to Russia. Every problem I encountered was because of everything that happened at that school and her terrible organization and treatment of her staff. I made this video to make you think about working for Gunai or supporting her, sponsoring her in the future. And I hope you will listen to me because I don't want to see any of you hurt, especially if you're any of my students. I do care about you and I care about your futures. And I'm very sorry you had to hear all this information. I'm starting a hashtag, and I want you guys to share this video. Share it around. I'm going to try to get it dubbed in Russian as well, if it creates some momentum. So I want to tell you to use the hashtag #WalkAwayFromGunai. Post it everywhere you can, along with this video. People need to know how she treats her employees. She's not the fairy that you think she is. All right, thanks a lot, guys. This was a lot for me to talk about. I'm sorry the video is very long. I hope you stayed till the end. And stay tuned for part 2 in a couple weeks, where I'm going to talk to you about the truth about her as a person, because I have a lot to say.